begin our service this morning and with two options. Both require you closing your eyes. And for the next 15 or so seconds, either listen to the beautiful waves meeting the shore, or simply focus on your breathing. Lord, for this day, for the gift of life, for blessings beyond measure, we give you thanks. Allow that the Spirit may invade our lives. Help us to sense your presence, your grace, your love, that we might be energized and lifted up beyond the challenges in all of our lives. Become the people you call us to be. For it is in your name we gather and pray. Amen.
Dear God, what are you thinking? Don't mean to offend you, but it feels like you've been drinking, talking to you. My old friend, I can't pretend. I can't pretend. You say, have a little gratitude. Don't mean to come across with so much attitude, but nights are long, they don't bring rest. I do my best. I do my best. You made the stars, you made the scars. Sometimes it's hard to figure out what's yours, what's ours. The reason why truth is hard to see. I pray for you, you pray for me. Pray for me. You say everyone's fighting battle I don't know about, so have a little grace. Some can't hear, some are blind, so be kind. Be kind. You made the stars, you made the scars. Sometimes it's hard to figure out what's yours, what's ours. The reason why love is hard to do. You pray for me, I pray for you. Pray for you. La la la, la la la, la 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 la. Why is love the hardest thing to do? You pray for me, I pray for you.
Friends, please take a moment and greet those whom you're seated near. Thank you all for joining us for this service of worship. And we especially welcome those of you who are guests or with us for the first time. We'll be here another 4 weeks or so until we head to Lake Forest College Chapel towards the end of September. Also next week, many of you will remember the Reverend Veronica Johnson. She preaches once in the beach and once at the chapel. She is the associate pastor for discipleship of the Greater Bethesda Missionary Baptist Church on the south side of Chicago. And she brings some spunk and some soul and some energy. She'll be preaching next week. Bobby Newman will provide music, and I'll lead the remainder of the service. Special thanks to Christina Trulio and Bob Hasty for providing music. Last week, I wasn't at the service because last Saturday night I was in Westport, Connecticut, officiating at the wedding of my nephew, our nephew. And one of the guests at the wedding was a white Jewish rapper by the name of Little Dicky. I don't know, believe it or not, you can look him up online. He's a little bit different than most of the rappers who are kind of gangbangers and thugs and stuff like that. Little Dicky's most popular rap is about how we all need to remember to save money. And that has no fewer than 80 million YouTube views. And so kind of inspired by Little Dicky, I'm thinking, well, if he can do this stuff, why can't I? So... Ken Hall is over here like this. So what I've been thinking about this past week is that you and I have an incredible number of options for our lives. Maybe way too many options, too much. And so think about Sunday morning, all the different things you could do on a Sunday morning. And so this is called my Smore. It's my Sunday morning options wrap. You can keep your eyes shut, you can stay in bed, you can read a new book, it'll feed your head. The TV option CBS Sunday morn, since Charles left, I've been forlorn. Peralta and Osgood both hit the road, now Jane Paula, she's carrying the load. You can take a vacation, you can go to Lake Geneva, you can watch reruns of Leave It to Beaver. Take strokes while golfing or during a swim, sweat during yoga or lifting at the gym. Kids travel sports, they play all over, so far away, it's out of your range. Rover, 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 you drive all over. You can catch up with words, you can wash the car, you can read the funnies, Peanuts and Brenda Starr. Do something wacky, like listening to me rap, but if I keep going, there'll be nothing in the cap. If I keep going, there'll be nothing in the cap. Hopefully a fun way to make a simple point that there are a multitude of ways, countless ways for us to spend a Sunday morning. Yet what's also true in this imperfect but great country of ours in the year 2017, it's not just Sunday morning. The truth is, our options are greater than probably any other culture, any other society at any point in history. The challenging side of that is that you and I have more decisions to make every single day than we know what to do with. There's something that therapists and physicians and those in the helping world call decision fatigue. That's when we're out of gas. We're tired of making decision after decision after decision. Now, if you're not convinced, read a wonderful book called The Paradox of Choice by Barry Schwartz. In his prologue, Barry Schwartz tells a story about a dozen years ago. He needed a new pair of jeans. So he figured he'd go to the Gap and walk in and said, I need a pair of 32/28s. Well, what did Barry hear at the Gap? Sure, first a couple questions. Do you prefer a slim fit, easy fit, relaxed fit, baggy fit, or extra baggy fit? Do you want stone washed, acid washed, or distressed? Do you prefer button fly or regular fly? And O.S., would you like faded or do you prefer denim? What followed is Schwartz taking a stack of neatly folded 32/28s, probably all the way to his chin, into the dressing room. He figured if there are that many options, there must be one that was just perfect for him. In the end, he says he chose relaxed fit rather than easy fit, because that sort of implied that he was getting fat. On one hand, he writes, the fact that the store provides those options is kind of nice because people do have various tastes and different sized bodies, but it also creates a bit of a problem. You see, buying a simple pair of jeans is this complex decision that requires lots of time and more energy than he wanted to spend, all resulting in no small amount of anxiety. Now, having too many jeans to choose from, in one way, it's a pretty trivial thing, not a big deal. But after a while, those trivial decisions stack on top of each other. They add up, and pretty soon they become like straws on the proverbial camel's back, and we get maxed out. Enough is enough. Anybody been shopping lately? Go to the Jewel. You'll find between 250 and 300 different kinds of cookies to choose from. Don't let anybody send you to the store and say, yeah, just pick up some cookies. You'll be in trouble. When Schwartz went shopping in his medium-sized store, 85 different options for juice. Need some shampoo or gel or conditioner or mousse? 360 different options to choose from. Here's the question, do you and I really need 22 different kinds of frozen waffles from which to choose? That's our life in the year 2017. We're forced into untold decisions pretty much every day, and this sort of thing has creeped up on us over time. There are people in church at the first service, and I bet, well, I know here right now, who were alive back in 1930. If you wanted to go for a drive and listen to music in your car in 1930, you had three different options. You could sing, you could whistle, or you could hum. That was it. But then the legendary Galvin brothers came up, of Motorola fame, came up with an idea, an AM radio that fit in the Model A. Now, Model A's cost $540. The Galvin's radio at the time was $130. Pretty steep price for an AM radio in the car. It would be like having a $30,000 Buick and putting in a $7,000 sound system. But some people said yes to it. And that AM radio, you got FM radio, and then 8-track, and then cassette, and then CD, and now satellite radio. And how is it that we ever got along without being able to listen to Howard Stern 24/7? Or how sweet is it to know that you can tune into NASCAR radio 24/7? We have unbelievable options. And then if you think about how in most newer cars these days, you can take your smartphone, hook it up into the sound system of your car. You have access to most of the recorded music in history, of which there are no fewer than 625 million songs that have been recorded. What are you going to listen to? Decision fatigue. After a while, enough is enough. The insightful Austrian-born management consultant Peter Drucker offered this about the situation in which we find ourselves. He wrote, and I quote, "In a few hundred years, when the history of our time will be written, from a long-term perspective. It is likely the most important event historians will see is not technology, it's not the internet, it's not e-commerce. Instead, it is the unprecedented change in the human condition. Because for the first time, literally, substantial and growing numbers of people have choices. For the first time, they will have to manage themselves. And society is totally unprepared for it. End quote. So many options. So many decisions. So many choices to make. Is that the abundance that Jesus was talking about when he said, I have come so that you might have life in abundance? We'll return to that question in just a moment.
You don't need a permit to do the right thing. You don't need permission to be a decent human being. If it's not me, not her, not him, not them, then who? Take a look in the mirror, baby, it's you. Why are you holding back? Are you doing what it takes? So much hesitation, afraid of making mistakes. If it's not here, not now, not soon, not ever, then when? Time to get off the fence, baby, begin. Shake things up, wake things up, be the change you wanna see. Shake things up, wake things up, just be who you wanna be. Amen. Jesus never said, now let me check my notes. Before I can heal you, I need to see how you vote. Pure love, pure light, sweet forgiveness, amazing grace. Are you going somewhere or just walking in place? Shake things up, wake things up, be the change you wanna see. Won't you shake things up, wake things up, be who you wanna be. Don't need a permit to do the right thing. Don't need permission to be a decent human being. If it's not me, not her, not him, not them, then who? Take a look in the mirror, baby, it's you.
I hope it's okay that I mentioned that a couple days ago, Christina saw in the newsletter the topic for the message this morning, and so she wrote that song. Now, if I were you, I would have rapped it, but it turns out. So in the Gospel of John chapter 10, Jesus speaks about being the Good Shepherd. And he mentions that key word from before, abundantly. Three verses from chapter 10 go like this. Jesus is speaking to his disciples. So Jesus again said to them, "Truly, truly, I say to you, I am the door of the sheep. All who come before me were thieves and robbers, but the sheep did not heed them. I am the door, and if anyone enters by me, they will be saved, and will go in and out and find pasture. The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I came that they may have life and have it abundantly." So we have all these choices. And I'd submit too many choices. Not just on how to spend our time, like what do we do on a beautiful Sunday like this, but choices in every area of our life, which means we become consumed by decisions. Trivial sorts of decisions like, do we really need, which frozen waffle do I buy, or which jeans do I get? But what increases the challenge is this. Studies indicate that the more decisions that we are forced to make, the quality of those decisions deteriorates. Not to mention the fact that 100 years ago, there was a small group of influencers on our lives and our decisions. Make a decision today, there's the advertising world, there's social media, there's internet. There are untold numbers of people who want to get in our heads and in our hearts to try and influence the decisions that we make. And so we're blessed with all these decisions and all these options. Is that the abundant life that Jesus was talking about? Now, it's a fair question because in English the word abundance means having a very large quantity of something. So on one level, the answer is sure. We have abundant decisions to make. We have abundant options. That's a good thing. But Jesus also came, he said, that we might have freedom. And so, if you put those two together, it seems like we should kind of be pinching ourselves every single day. So grateful because we have so many options, and we live in a time and in a place where we are free to choose. And we have this combination in a way that no society or culture before us ever has. But that's not completely what Jesus was talking about when he said, "I came that you might have abundant lives." Because the word that John uses for abundance is the word perissos. And it means something more than just quantity. It's all about quality. Perissos, when Jesus says, "I want you to have an abundant life," he's saying, "I want you to have the kind of life you could never imagine. The sort of existence that would be unfathomable for you. That's perissos, that's abundance." And so the irony we find is that because we have this one kind of abundance, of so many options, so many decisions to make about everything under the sun, it's taken away some of the other quality of perissos, abundance, which is to have a life that's better than anything we can imagine. Now, that's the irony. To get the overall abundance Jesus talks about, we somehow have to reduce this choice abundance. So what do? When the world forces our hands to make untold choices every day, keep in mind that Jesus spoke not just about freedom and abundance, but about a simpler kind of life where we pay attention to the flowers coming out of the ground, and we notice the birds of the air. And what I'm about to share isn't Christian, but it sure seems to be aligned with the teachings of Jesus. And it begins with Dieter Rams' statement, "Weniger aber besser." Translated in English, less but better. It's the disciplined pursuit of not everything in our lives, tricking ourselves into thinking that we can have it all, because guess what? We can't. It's making important decisions about those things that really matter. Lives less but better. Now, Dieter Rams was a young designer, 24 years old, at Braun, a big manufacturing and design company. At 24 years old, they said, Dieter, we want you to design a new phonograph. At that time, you will remember this as I do, many of you. If you had a phonograph, more often than not, it was embedded in a piece of furniture about the size of a casket. And it took up, as a kid, about half our living room. All right? And they said, Dieter, design a new kind of phonograph. And what he did is he lifted the phonograph out, he designed a plastic top so it could be placed anywhere. And some people said, you are absolutely crazy. But what happened? He revolutionized how we have musical components. What did he do? He eliminated the non-essential. Dieter Rams eliminated the non-essential. Less, but better. And it became the industry standard for decades. So here's the first of 3 questions for you this morning. What is non-essential in your life that may be keeping you from real abundance? What's non-essential that's taking your time, your energy, but not doing you much good that you can jettison? Now, if you're a business person, you're an investor, tune into this. Greg McEwen wrote a wonderful book called Essentialism. I recommend it without hesitation. And he tells the story of the company that from 1972 to 2002, in the Standard & Poor's 500, had the greatest return on investment. Any guesses? Wasn't IBM, wasn't Intel, wasn't GE. It was Herb Kelleher and Southwest Airlines. He revolutionized air travel. How? He said, we're not doing all these connecting flights. If you want to fly with us, you go from point to point. If you're hungry, bring some food. We're going to lower our costs by not providing meals. The whole reservation system, you know what? Show up early and then pick your own seat. What Herb Kelleher and Southwest Airlines did is they removed the non-essential. And that was a springboard for remarkable success. They focused on what was important. They didn't try to be everything to everyone. So, question 2. As you think about your life, do you feel as if you are focused on what matters most? 2 weeks ago I mentioned Warren Buffett. Excuse me, I do so again today. In the Tao of Warren Buffett, the authors write this, giving us some insight into the legendary investor. Quote, early in his career, Warren realized that it would be impossible for him to make hundreds or thousands of right investment decisions. So he decided he would invest only in businesses that he was absolutely certain of. And he bet heavily on them. Warren Buffett, today one of the richest men in the world, owes 90% of his wealth to just 10 investments, 10 decisions, end quotes. So here's the third question for you. Are you heavily invested in one or two priorities in your life? What matters most? Or are you spread too thin? Held back by way too many decisions? One final thought. If you're interested in the community church story, think weniger, aber besser. Less, but better. When we started some 20 years ago almost, I wasn't operating on intellectual prowess or research. It was probably more a combination of luck and instincts and Holy Spirit. But when we started, we called ourselves a micro-church. We weren't going to do everything that everybody else was doing. We were going to do a couple things really well. Worship and provide compassionate care in people's lives. All the other churches who had millions of programs and ministries, God bless them, it didn't make sense for us to duplicate some things that were already being well done in the community. Yet, I think because we had this weniger aber besser philosophy, less but better, somehow we got to the place now, 18 years later, where we're more than 3 times the size that we thought we'd be at the largest we'd ever become. And as I think about our church, it seems to me we've lost a little bit of our weniger aber besser mindset. We've added a little here, and a little there, and a little there, and pretty soon we're feeling a little bit spread kind of thin. And so the questions I'm asking myself as a leader of our church are questions just like I'm asking you to consider. What's not essential in the life of our church? It keeps us from the path that we're called to be on. And what matters most for us as a church family? Have we properly prioritized what matters most? Have we supported it in the ways that we should? And finally, are we spread a little too thin? Answers to those questions I'll take a try at 2 weeks from today. In the meantime, consider for your own lives. Weniger aber besser. Less, but better. Amen.
Mother, there's too many of you crying. Brother, there's far too many of you dying. You know we got to find a way to bring some love here today. Father, we need to escalate. War is not the answer. Only love can conquer hate. You know we've got to find a way to bring some love here today. Picket lines, picket signs, don't punish me with brutality. Won't you talk to me so you can see what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Tell me what's going on. Ooh. Mother, everybody thinks we're wrong. Oh, who are they to judge us just because our hair is long? You know we've got to find a way to bring some understanding here today. Picket signs, don't punish me with brutality. Won't you talk to me? Maybe we Tell me what's going on. What's going on? What's going on?
I'll tell you one thing that's going on. At the end of October, our last service in October, Christina put together an extraordinary worship experience that we'll be having at the chapel. So when you see your email newsletter and you see Christina's name, remember that that's a very special service not to miss, and more will be coming on that. Friends, go out in the world today recognizing that we are blessed with abundance. What an awesome thing. But we can only maximize that if we make some choices. And so I challenge you to think weniger, aber besser, less, but better. Go in peace. And the people said,